All right, guys. Welcome back. This is ordinarily I would have recorded sound at the same time that I would have recorded you know, the video, but for some reason, perhaps I don't have the microphone set up properly. So instead, I'm going to be doing this after the fact. So it's not going to be quite as clean cut. My reactions aren't going to be quite as natural as they would have been at the time. But if you remember last time, it wasn't the year 1241, and I didn't have control over Arabia. That's because there was an episode that didn't record at all in between these two. And during that time, there were some conversions to Catholicism that happened. There was also, and for this episode, I'm going to try to target the capture of the Kingdom of Africa over here on the left, and continue to kind of rebuild those same sorts of things that I was doing that you didn't see off screen. So I'm going to try to keep converting people to Catholicism. I'm also going to keep working. I'm also going to keep watching the opportunities here in what used to be the Seljuk Empire over on the right. So, we've got a few things that we can do right now, and I'm kind of looking at the de jure claims that I can press, and there's two potential wars against the Byzantines, who still have a lot of strength. So I don't know if that's the best idea. I'm still threatening, so there will be alliances, because this is a reaction to me taking Arabia. When I say Arabia, understand I'm not talking about Saudi Arabia. I'm not talking about the massive Arabian Peninsula. I'm talking instead about this area over here in the northwest, probably known as Nabatea in the Roman times. The area that's closest to the Sinai and some other stuff. That's what I'm referring to as Arabia. I'm not referring to some other stuff. But the King of Africa is not part of the defensive pact against me, at least, and he won't be, because most of those areas will be coming over here from the east. And now we have the defensive pact, and now we've got some people who no longer want to marry my kids because they're now threatened by me. So we have that going on. Also got this Gavelkind push in Cyprus, which basically seems to be the popular way to sort of refuse to deal with me. And so we've got that going on also. All right, well, I've got a princess who's 19, whose first husband already died. I'm not really sure what happened to him. Let's find her some sort of ruler to marry. I'm going to go with number 2 here on the list. I think he was a German. And will not worry. Not worry about that so much. Need to buy a gift for my wife. I'm 49. I'm not quite sure how old my wife is, but we're probably not having kids at this. Well, she's 24. I take that back. Maybe we should buy her something nice. But this is my character's second wife. his first wife was the Duchess of Sicily, which is the reason that our primary son is still in the court and was not my heir, because he was serving a religious role. And my other son is also still in Sicily, so I can't do anything about him either. But fortunately, it also means I don't have to worry about landing him while he's over there. I'm at 9 out of 10 on my domain score, so perhaps we should be looking out for an extra county to add to our domains. There aren't any real active plotting opportunities that we can take. So our tournament has clearly started, and I've got somewhere around 30,000 troops I can potentially call. And the only single woman in my court is Princess Maranya, who is 50. I think she's my aunt. And I'm going to marry her off just to get her out of the court. And a bunch of people just getting hurt left and right, as tends to happen in these tournaments. In fact, you got the guy who's dead. But yeah, I've got the clock running a little bit slower to do a little bit of management here while the tournament's going on. And what I was looking at here is I was trying to see if I could build any trading posts, and I can't. I don't have the right expansion for it, and I don't have a mercantile republic. So I was thinking about maybe finding some place I could turn into a merchant republic underneath our empire. And I was sort of looking at that island of Socotra out there off of the coast to do that with, because I'm not really going to, I wouldn't really be using it for anything else anyway. All right, my spy master is doing his job by keeping an eye on my most powerful Miaphysite vassal at this point. And now the Duke of Dan has said he will not be involved in any factions against me, which is good. That's going to lower the faction score quite a bit. And the Duke of Tripoli, who we just installed a couple of videos ago, possibly during the missing episode, because we might have usurped that title during that time, he becomes the winner of the tournament, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And I think so now it's just a matter of where we want to go. We could actually attack the Duchy of Athens. Really wouldn't do us much good, mainly because we don't have the boats to get over there. So instead, we're going to take care of our other interest, and I think we need to establish a boundary over here in the west. that makes slightly more sense than our boundary in Cyrenacia. Just checking out, Petra would still make an obvious war target, you know, one county in the middle of our domains, part of the Duchy of Arabia, so you would think that we'd be able to target that. I still have my Chancellor visiting himself, basically. And had no position open up at Commander, took care of that. I'm going to remove this, rank 10 Commander guy and replace him with somebody better. Although the guy I replaced him with, the Count of Suakin, is only available because he's rebelling from his liege. And as soon as that war is over, I'm going to lose him. And that spot will open up again. Okay, but since we're in November, we might as well hold off on starting a war for another couple months. We'll have ourselves a feast, and evidently Petra has raised its troops for some reason. Okay, I'm not sure why Petra has done this, but we will go see. Yeah, really not happy with the fact that our Miaphysite problem is starting to decline, but the places where it still exists are primarily over here in the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And one of the ways I could try to spin that out would be to, or solve that would be to spin out the Kingdom of Jerusalem and have that person take on the task of converting everybody within the kingdom's boundaries. I'm not really looking to do that. Okay, that rebellion failed, so now I need a new dude. So we're going to grab that noble guy, and everybody's turning down our invite to the party. And I do mean everybody. Right, got some conversions going on. That's fine. There's the official notice of the defeat of that guy. All right, got another county that's converted to Catholicism, so that's good. And again, I'm trying to fight back against this whole Miaphysite thing that's been sort of spreading for the last couple of episodes. It doesn't help that the land has kind of gotten a little shuffled. For instance, the Duke of Jerusalem no longer controls the county of Acre. You know, and of course, once I make this war on Africa, Africa's guys ruling what technically is the Kingdom of Africa are already at war with the French on the other side. So if I'm going to do it, now would probably be the time. They're not part of the defensive pact, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to be able to raise 14,000 men from my Egyptian vassal. And those men can pop up as far west as El Alamein, so they'll get there a lot faster than my men who I'm going to raise from, my other possessions are going to get there. And I still have these special troops that I don't exactly know how they got here, but every time I disband the armies, they're not considered disbanded. They can't be retinues because I don't have the expansion pack for retinues downloaded. But as long as they're not going to prevent me from declaring war, I'm not going to really worry about them too much. I do need to figure out which of these two guys who have claims on Africa I want to put in charge. I also have a potential claim on Mauritania, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. It could be the territories, just off the top of my head, I'm not sure where it is. Okay, and it looks like Sicily's going to be involved no matter what I do. One time I tried to marry into the House of Sicily, and that really never worked out for us. All right, so I'm going to declare war in favor of this guy because his happiness is the smallest, so it'll be the biggest advantage to me. And we will go ahead and declare war on Africa here. Thinking Mauritania might be the three counties west of what is historically Roman Africa. Just in case you're new, Africa, the continent, was named after the province of Africa. But the province of Africa historically only includes areas that are very close to the old port of Carthage, up near the territory of Tunis, which you're gonna see quite soon because we are gonna send some people in that direction. All right, so we're gonna raise our levies. We've already raised our son's levies over here in El Alamein, and we've got him on the march to Leptis Magna. Leptis Magna, of course, named after another Roman site on an old Phoenician settlement. If you could do it, I would basically trade the duchy of Makuria down in the historical areas of Nubia and Kush for either the Duchy of Alexandria or the Duchy of what I have is the Duchy of Upper Egypt, just so that my troops would be all closer together and more centralized. But to get to do that would create a lot of ripples in the noble community. Oh, look, I'm leading one of these military units. Okay, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm about 50 years old. Let's not do that. And then, of course, we have our little special friends over here. And I'm still not sure where they came from, but I can't seem to get rid of them. Okay, well, it looks like everybody's going to arrive in Leptis Magna pretty quickly. So I'm going to, so it's not like there's going to be much of a siege that will have taken place, and I don't want to swamp these areas with men. Because most of this territory is desert, so the chances that we're going to find some attrition are pretty good. So I'm going to send them forward to Tripolitania, and if we don't run into anybody there, then we'll keep on going we'll keep on going all the way to Tunis. And from Tunis, we should be able to keep an eye on whether any sort of soldiers march southeast to march against us. And then we can kind of split up our forces that are located behind there and use those guys to siege everything down. See, you can see 13,000 men in Tripoli doesn't really work. Tripolitania is the site of the present Libyan capital of Tripoli. It's also, if you're familiar with the Marine hymn, that is where the halls of Tripoli refer to, way back to the Barbary pirates. I'm sorry, not God. It's the halls of Montezuma, which are obviously a reference to Mexico City. Shores of Tripoli, the shores of Tripoli. You can see the shores of Tripoli on the map right now with a trading post. And now we're going to move away and check out see if all of the troops have sort of caught up. And basically they have. The troops that are in Sirte now, those are the Nubian troops from the south. And I'll have gotten, and our army will be about 12,000 strong, so we've lost about 2,000 men in attrition when we reach Tunis, and then we can start sieging Tunis down. All right, we got that new marriage figured out for our daughter. And here I've got eyes on whatever happens to the west and to the south. All right, so I'll bring my guys over from Sirte, these last guys who appeared from somewhere. And then we'll split that unit up into two and send half the troops to Tripolitania and hope that that's enough to deal with that situation for right now. All right. Oh, we got a kid to send somewhere. We're kind of short of good guardians right now because I haven't done a very good job managing people. But we're going to send her, we don't want to send her to anybody who's Miaphysite. So we're going to send her instead to the Queen. Let her learn from the Queen. I'm sure the Queen is looking for something to do anyway. We're going to merge the forces together, and then we're going to split them in two. And we're going to send one of them, hopefully, over to Tripolitania. And we're just going to keep, attrition keeps killing our huge army up here in the north, but we're just going to let that keep going. And we have our a guy about ready. Oh, wait a minute, both of them moved. Okay, you dummies. You weren't both supposed to go up there. You have to need to send one of you back. Of course, you'll notice there's an African army wandering around my territory in Cyrenacia. But it's only 1,000 men strong, so I don't really know what it's going to accomplish or where it's going. I mean, it's clearly not stopping somewhere to siege, although there are better places to do that if it had wanted to. And then now there's a Sicilian force down here in Sirte who wants to fight me in Leptis Magna. So we'll reunite the forces that are in Leptis Magna together, and we might have to keep them together the whole time, simply because, if this is going to continue to be a thing, then I'm not real thrilled about this. Okay, they gave up on it because they saw us coming. Hey, we're finally in the positive war scores after sieging down I think the castle at Tunis. I think we gradually keep losing men. Okay. Now we've got some more stuff converted here, which is always good. And our chancellor is still making friends with himself. He's another one of these Neophysite vassals that I'm not particularly thrilled about. Okay. Now a Galilean county has converted back to the one true faith. So now we can send the bishop over here somewhere else. So let's see here. Looks like Beirut's fine. Tyre could afford to be converted. Or Tyr, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Okay, I don't really like those guys sitting on Sirte like that. I'm going to run them off in a sec here. The only problem I've got is that they're Sicilians. They're allies. They're not. Although there might be a African force there with them. You see all the Mediterranean fleets moving around. All right, more counties converting to Catholicism. Okay, we've taken something from Leptis Magna now, the castle. So now I'm going to go and run the Sicilians off down there. Meanwhile, we keep suffering. Whoop. Well, hello. I've been attacked by the Africans. And they tried to land 1,000 men on the beaches of Tunis and fight 8,000 or 9,000 Egyptians and Ethiopians. It really didn't work out for them. Oh, and I'm being raided down here in the south. Not exactly sure how that works. Mainly because I didn't realize that you could be raided by people who weren't Norse or pagans. But I'm being raided by somebody, some more Arabic sounding person who obviously I didn't care enough to look up where he was from. Oh, now I'm going to howl at the moon. After working so hard, I'm just going to go and howl at the moon. And yeah, so yeah, I'm a lunatic. I don't think I'm going to take advantage of that to promote my horse to the council, which is something lunatics can do. And I'm getting these Byzantine updates because I control Cyprus. I think that's why I'm getting those updates. I don't think it's because I hold the Duchy of Tripoli, which is going to get really confusing once we take over Tripolitania. Okay, we've converted somebody else. And the forces in Sirte can't really do anything. All right, we've got Duke Demathius, who is one of my untrustworthy Miaphysite guys, claiming someone else is a traitor. So I'm going to investigate. I'm going to investigate what exactly Duke, or who exactly he's talking about. Oh, and the Pope decides that now would be a good time to declare a crusade on India. This is one of the places where the game kind of loses me. And I realize this probably wasn't an issue when the game first came out and India was not part of the map you could get to. But it seems to me it's fairly common for the Pope to call crusades for India, even though historically the Pope never called a crusade for anything as far away as India. And I'm not even sure who the Christians near that area would be. I mean, and getting participation in that kind of crusade, like who's going to walk all the way over there? Well, the answer is not the Empire of Kush. We are quite busy right now doing our own thing, thank you. We do not see the need to become involved in the giant crusade of India. If anything, we're going to use the money we've gotten from sieging down stuff, and we're going to build new cities to try to raise our tax revenue within the domain. Hey, we took Carthage. That's exciting. Okay, well, my wife is pregnant again, but she's like 25 or 25 years old, so I mean, that's to be expected. And Prince Sergio needs a guardian, so I'm going to let my wife watch over him too. I think we're talking about grandkids here. I don't think we're talking about. Oh, good, a peasant revolt. And it's not powerful enough to actually start sieging down anything in Beirut. So I don't know what got the Lebanese excited, but something did. And basically I'm going to keep sieging stuff down. But as soon as I'm done sieging out Tunis, I'll probably move that army. Since there doesn't seem to be any major opposition in this area, The African armies seem to be spent at this point. Probably move over to the capital of the family that's doing this stuff, or that controls Africa, and siege that down, since that'll give me a little more war score than this stuff. Oh boy, Tyre just converted, or Tyre just converted to the Islamic faith. No, not the Islamic faith, the Catholic faith. Jeez. Where is my head? All right. So now I have a choice of bringing him down to Acre or bringing him down to Galilee. And I'm going to go for Acre since it's not under the direct supervision of somebody who is who has power over what your religion is. And the Duke of Galilee would be that person. Whereas the Count of Acre kind of has to deal with whatever I decide to give him. All right, so we've got more sieging going on here. And I have a child who will never rule the kingdom, so not too worried about what his name is. Yeah, I am concerned that I didn't get to name my current heir, and I may not get to name his heirs. So we might have another break in the rule of John the Presbyter. We've already had one break like that. I think that when Genatios inherited the kingdom, it was another sort of deal where he was born before I could. He was born outside the court, and so I didn't get to rename him. All right, so we're now sieging down the capital of this whole mess, or the family mess. And okay, I see 34 Africans here. That's interesting, but not terribly distressing. All right, so we got another convert to the faith. Oh, new pope. Get some new tech. Ideally, we would want, I think, light infantry, but I'm not worried about it at the moment. Improve our legalism a bit here. Okay, the majority of the population in Accra has changed to Catholic, so now we can move our court chaplain out of there and over to Galilee. We're just going to keep converting from north to south here. Got the war score up to about 90%, so we just need to siege out a few more things, and we should be able to declare victory and go home. Yes, there is a French Navy right there, but no, I don't know. Okay. Now this is weird. So originally, when King John, or when Emperor John came to power, he had 3 sons. One of them was a religious official, so he was taken out of the line of succession, which meant that my second son became my heir, and that's the reason I endowed him with the Kingdom of Ethiopia and the Kingdom of Egypt because those are elective positions, and I was trying to make sure to keep everything together, at least to begin with, and this seemed to be working out well. Well, now, my son has ceased to be the court chaplain of somebody or some other. And so now my first son is my direct heir again, which is a little bit of a problem because it means that the kingdoms of Egypt and Ethiopia are going to spin out to a second line of the family unless I can do something to get rid of my first son. And I don't really know what the rules for murdering one's own son are. You see, we have another Gardizid revolt here. Now, the Gardizids are where the Seljuks used to be. And although that area is historically Sunni Islamic, it's all been converted to Zikri, if you've been paying attention. The Zikri heresy has gained strength and now holds that whole area. It does mean there aren't a lot of people willing to help the Seljuks, or sorry, the Gardizids if you go to war with them, but they're so powerful that why would they need to worry about that? So yes, here is Prince Zacharias, who has done the appropriate thing, gotten his face all painted. But he is not the guy I would want to put the country in charge of. I mean, look at his stats. They're not good. I also technically need to find him some land. But don't really want to do that right this instant. Although I am 50, I don't want my sons to remain unlanded throughout the rest of my time that I'm not alive here. Oh, we got 27 ships moving African troops again. Oh, and they landed right here in Leptis Magna. Well, that's amusing. All right, I've got more kids who need to be assigned to people. Unfortunately, like one of the best guys to assign them to is my steward. My steward, who's also a bishop in the Monophysite Church. Yeah. So we're going to have to find somebody capable for him to learn from. And it looks like I might be our best bet here. And the city just got finished in Napata. Or not Napata, Merowe, so we don't need to worry about that so much. Okay, I don't know why we're taking land away from people. I'm assuming we're doing so it stays Catholic. I hope. Yep, so now we can just assign a mayor to that city. And we don't have to worry about that problem. Now, one of the things that I never did go back and sort of kick out all the Miaphysite priests in this area. The area was converted to Catholic pretty quickly at the beginning of the game, so I mean that's not a big deal, or it's at least not a big deal at the moment. And I'm also trying to figure out where I want to put my next city, since I have some money to play with. And since Merowe's got 4 holdings, might as well do that first. All right, so now we got another city building, and this war is at 95%. I'm going to wager that we're going to siege down the first level in their capital before they take part of Leptis Magna back. And there we go, we got it. So now we can go over, hit the 100% there on the old war score, enforce our demands, and now we're not the kings of Africa, but the king of Africa works for us. So that gives us more of the Mediterranean coast in our territory. Of course, we're going to have to march these guys back over to here. And I think this gives us a good western border. I don't think there's any real reason for us to keep going west unless, I mean, we've got 200 years of the game left. But our major issue is the territory that's still in the hands of the former Seljuks in the east. I would like to grab a hold of some of that stuff because some of it was historically part of the ancient Egyptian Empire. But I think this makes a good stopping ground in the west. That territory sort of acts like a buffer between us and the French. I don't know how crazy insane the French are, but this will keep them probably away from us. So now we can add looking at Salerno or Sicily to our list of possible new targets. But then there's also this Gardizid revolt. Now, my son, the king of Ethiopia, has decided to declare a war of his own on the Gardizids for their holdings in the Duchy of Damascus. Tell you what, my wife is good at being pregnant. But the revolters themselves also hold part of the Duchy of Damascus. So, since Damascus is the next place that we would logically go, to expand our empire eastward, that would be a thought. Another thought might be, again, looking at Athens, and the reason I say this is because we've now taken over the Kingdom of Africa. And so the King of Africa, as one of our vassals, should have a pretty good sized navy. And so we might be able to actually move a large army to Greece, which we weren't really able to do the last time we tried this. You know, we could also investigate perhaps taking over the small island out here and try to turn it into a merchant republic so that we can start building trading posts, or basically have them build trading posts, and add some more income to our cities that way. And something else I could consider doing is raising city taxes, which I don't think I've done. Maybe at all. I mean, I've kind of stayed away from that tab other than the inheritance rules. So, yeah, our court chaplain's not happy because we didn't decide to go to India, and because that made a lot of sense. And again, our steward is the Bishop of Merowa, and I'd kind of like him to convert, because then I wouldn't have to worry about Merowe converting anymore. But even if we give him a gift, he's still not going to be happy enough to convert this turn. Oh well, no need to force it. I think all of our positions are currently filled, including our 2 designated regions, which I'm not really sure what that's all about. And there's some vassal sharing going on, which reminds me, now that we have a king of Africa, wherever he is, I've got a duchy and a count that I need to give to him. So where is he hanging out? Oh yeah, he's decided to make his capital his original county that I gave him in the middle of Arabia. So, okay, I'll give him the Duke of Cyrenaica. And that's safe because the king of Africa is Catholic, and his entire realm has been Catholic. I think because they got targeted by a bunch of religious conflicts. No, we lost our High Almoner at some point. All right, well, you guys like me. We'll give Demotheus, who attempted to finger out a man who wasn't a traitor, we'll make him feel important. And then we will assign you, sir, with your 16. He's the randomly generated mayor of the town I just built in the Merowe County. So, you know, it all comes back around. But that's as far west as I think we're going to go into the Mediterranean. We might poach Sicily or some islands, but now we really are going to be focusing on the territories over here with the Gardesids and eventually the Byzantines, because there's a couple pieces of territory we need to take off of the Byzantines as well. And I don't know how responsive they're going to be to that idea. But with that idea in mind, I will see you guys next time when I do things live, hopefully.